talking about having a child, having offspring, before talking about having a father or mother. Why? Because when you look at the masses of mankind who have beliefs, distorted beliefs about God, how many of them believe that God had a father? Few. Very, very few. I won't say there are none. There probably are some somewhere. But most people, the problem that they have is God having offspring. This is what they have. This is the main area of the problem. Whether you look at the pagans, pagan Meccans, they believe that the angels were daughters of Allah, of God. Or you look at the Jews, and the Jews started talking about sons of God even before it entered into Christianity. Because you can find in Genesis 4, verse 6, which says, it says, after God has created Adam and Eve, they have been sent out of the garden, they're on earth, and they're having children. And the numbers increase. It says, when men began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not remain in man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. The sons of God. An idea is introduced right from the very beginning of the Bible. This is as the Jews tell it. They're talking about some mysterious sons of God. There have been various interpretations to explain who they are. In the apocryphal books, in Enoch, First Enoch 6 to 10, the origins of the devils are traced to these sons of God. That they were originally angels who fell from grace and became devils. So we have here this idea of sons of God. And of course, Christians, we know that they took the idea of sons of God right out to the limit. Though, if you go through the New Testament, in spite of all its distortions, you will not find a single verse in the New Testament where Jesus is speaking and he says, I am the Son of God. What you will find is he says, I am the Son of Man. But people around him will be saying, as the Son of God did so and so and so and so, the Son of God, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. These are all the statements of those around Jesus, as placed in the Gospels. But when you read the section, which is just the words of Jesus, which come in the quotation marks, you will not find anywhere that Jesus says, I am the Son of God. But this idea became prevalent in Christian teachings as they spread to Greece and to Rome, where the idea of God having sons was very popular. Especially when it reached Rome, where the sun god, Apollo, he was the popular god at the time. They believe Apollo was the god who used to ride his chariot across the sky, pulling behind him the sun. That's how the sun rose and sets. This was Apollo riding his chariots and carrying the sun. He was the sun god. And he was also the son of the main god. And at the same time, he was worshipped on Sunday. This is where the name Sunday comes from. If you go back in the encyclopedia, this is what you will find. Sunday was the day for the worship of the sun god. And the early Christians, who worshipped on what day? On the Sabbath. This is the day that Jesus and his companions worshipped. The Sabbath, Saturday, which begins on Friday. It begins on Friday evening and it ends by Saturday evening. This was changed to attract, by Paul and his companions, to attract the pagans of Rome. So Sunday became the day of worship for Christians. They're not following Jesus. They're following the product of human beings as time passed and the religion was adjusted and modified to suit the times. But the essence here is that there is the belief that God had a son. So here's the problem, the idea of God having offspring. So Allah in this chapter here, He says, Lam yalid. He does not have offspring. And this is part of being unique, isn't it? This is unique. I mean, the unique one is the one who has no offspring. Because otherwise, everything else in creation has offspring. All the other beings, human beings, they're having offspring, they have children. So once you say God is having children, well, He's saying He's like everybody else, having children. He's not unique anymore. Then God goes on to say, وَلَمْ يُولَدْ, nor was He born. He has no father. For those people who are caught up in the idea that God has to come from someone, from somewhere, somehow. And Abu Huraira, companion of the Prophet Muhammad, he said that the Prophet Muhammad said that Satan comes to every one of you and says, who created this and who created that? Until he questions, who created your Lord? When it comes to that one, you should seek refuge in Allah and keep away from it. This is a natural question, induced and encouraged by Satan. And if you tell your child, as you're educating your children, you tell them, Allah created the sky, Allah created the earth, Allah created the trees, Allah created the rivers, Allah created the animals, Allah created you, Allah created me. The child then turns and says, well, who created Allah? It's a natural sequence here. And it is something which you have to answer, actually. For a young person, it's not enough for you to tell them, no, don't ask this question. A'udhu billahi mink. You don't seek refuge in Allah from that person, from the child, and turn them away. No, you must address the question. And the question can be addressed fairly simply. You explain to them that creation means having a beginning. When something is created, it means it had a beginning. And if God is the creator, if He has a beginning, then He is a part of creation. He's not the creator anymore. And the one